And I'm joined now by Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who's up late with us tonight here on the Final Five. Senator, thanks for taking some time.
Glad to, Jim.
Let's talk about this war powers resolution that you intend to, you have introduced. There likely could be a vote on this coming up. What's the end game here, seeing what we saw play out over the last 24 hours?
And events are changing. Is the ceasefire going to hold? We pray that it will. That would be great, but other things are going on. My resolution basically says this: Congress should demand a vote before we go to war with Iran. So no war with Iran without a vote of Congress. And now that we're in a ceasefire mode, I think we can have that discussion without the sense of urgency. We have to do something right now. After the Israeli bombing campaign in the first week, the Israeli foreign minister said it had set the Iranian nuclear program back, quote, at least 2 or 3 years. Then the U.S. took action. So now that we're in this little pause and we hope that it holds with the ceasefire, let's have a discussion about whether the U.S. should be at war with Iran or not. I think there are different opinions about that in the body and different views on what would be, the red line that if crossed, we should contemplate war with Iran. But the Constitution makes plain we shouldn't be at war without a vote of Congress. And so that's what my resolution says: no war with Iran without a vote of Congress. It could come up maybe as early as Thursday, possibly Friday. We were going to have a briefing from the administration today. They chose to postpone it until Thursday. So we'll have that briefing Thursday. Ideally, I think we should have that briefing before we have the vote, but it will come up this week.
It sounds as though the administration had said they believe that notifying Congress after the fact, after the attack, seemed to suffice in this case here. Then the vice president went on the air, said that we had dealt with dumb presidents in the past, which is why this is a different approach to foreign policy right now. Is this a matter of checking that power from the administration before they do anything else?
That's what the Constitution requires, Jim. We have a very unusual Constitution in this way. The framers decided that instead of letting the king, monarch, empire, emperor, czar declare war, the war would be declared by Congress. And then once declared, the last thing you need is 535 commanders in chief. So you only have one commander in chief to implement the war, but you don't start a war without Congress. President Trump did something that was highly unusual. Other presidents have initiated war without Congress, but they at least consult with and notify Congress. They did not do that here. No consultation. They notified some of the Republicans, but the key Democrats who would normally be noticed, the Democratic leads on the Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Foreign Relations Committee, the Appropriations Committee, they were not notified. The Senate Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, got a call likely after the bombing had happened saying imminent action, stay tuned for the news, but they wouldn't give him any information about it. And I think members of Congress don't like being disrespected and having an end run. They want to be included in this, and that's what the framers wanted to. So I'm not asking, this is not a vote on should we be at war with Iran or not, but it is a vote on should we be at war with Iran without a vote of Congress. And I'm hoping that all the members of the House and Senate stand up and say, of course, Congress should have to debate and vote on this. That's what our troops deserve, and that's what their families deserve.
You were not in the body back in 2003 when it came to go to Iraq. And obviously that's a much different time. But when you look at again, I'll go back to what the vice president also said when he characterized very carefully on many of these Sunday shows that it wasn't that we were at war with Iran, we were targeting Iran's nuclear program. And it seems as though he's trying to parse the words there a little bit to sort of thread the proverbial needle here. Between that and a limited scope attack here, what else? I mean, do you foresee anything happening between now and beyond?
Well, Jim, that's an interesting set of questions. The vice president said we're not at war with Iran. If Iran bombed a nuclear facility in the United States, would we think they were at war with us? Yeah, we would. But we would not say, oh, they only bombed a nuclear facility. No, they're at war. Second, bombing a nuclear facility when even the Israelis say the program has been set back 2 or 3 years. What was the urgency that meant they couldn't give us notice or have a debate about this? I mean, there was no imminent attack on the United States. There was no imminent break of Iran toward getting a nuclear weapon. It's too big a decision to put on the shoulders of one person whether we should send our sons and daughters into war. And that's why the framers of the Constitution said it should be a deliberative decision for Congress to make in full view of the American public so they can know whether the mission that their kids might risk their lives in is worth it or not. We now, in a ceasefire moment, I think we have the time to get this right. And let's have the discussion about what conditions would be sufficient for the U.S. to need to be engaged militarily here. I frankly believe we should help nations in the region, allies like Israel, defend themselves. But I think I don't think the United States should be in another war in the Middle East. I think the 20 years from 2001 to 2021 should have taught us something. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be buffaloed into war based on fake intelligence. That was the problem with Iraq. We were told things about the Iraqi weapons of mass destruction program that turned out to be false. And so when I'm hearing statements from the president about the Iranian program that vary from what the Israelis are saying or what our own intelligence community is saying, that haunting notion of why didn't we get the accurate information in 2003 before we went into Iraq? I think all of us should be haunted by that and want to make sure we get the details right.
Senator Tim Kaine on the Final Five. Senator, thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Glad you, Jim. Take care.
And we're back after this.